He was unarmed.
Would he have done the same thing to a white guy in Mill Hill?
Oh, Jason, shall we sit down to watch The Boys?
So white privilege is when white people, particularly men, automatically assume they can take whatever they want.
Oh, get me out of here! Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about episode 5 of The Boys. You may have noticed I skipped an episode from 2 weeks ago. Wasn't worth talking about because, to be honest, this season has been a bit for me. Lots of heavy-handed messaging, lots of you know where they're going with this one. And I needed to talk about a few things. 3 things I want to address, but right at the very top, we're going to talk about the confrontation between A-Train and Blue Hawk. And the way this happened was not the way I thought it would go. Basically, Blue Hawk is invited to Vought headquarters by Ashley, and he's going to atone for his actions, for his heavy-handedness of killing African Americans in very populated neighborhoods within America. And he's going to offer a measly donation towards the causes of said demographic. It's obviously meant to be satirical. It's obviously meant to be referencing what's going on in America right now. And as you know, my feelings about politicizing entertainment for the sake of, well, the mainstream media has already given us that message, but we're just going to hammer it home to you because we know you're thick and you don't understand what's going on, which is the reason why I like entertainment just to be entertainment. Not politicized, not ideologized, just entertainment Hollywood. Do you kind of understand where I'm going with this? And of course, now we have this filmed meeting, and what happens? He's talking about how he's curbing crime. Insufferable woman of color stands up and says, but what about if a white guy was brandishing a gun? Would you dish out the same treatment to him like you do to a black man? And of course, you know, all hell breaks loose. Someone shouts at BLM, and in counteraction to this, Blue Hawk says, well, all lives matter. And I think, you know what, you got to pump the brakes right there, because when the BLM movement was kicking off big time in 2020, I was saying online, yeah, all lives matter. It's not just about a specific demographic. I got kickback for it. I got support for it because as a person of color myself, in case you didn't notice, I'm actually free to disagree or agree with this certain notion. So the fact they threw that into this scene, it's good, but it's cringe as well at the same time. I don't know why this episode felt it had to really go back to something that no one's really talking about at the moment.
Black lives matter.
All lives matter. All lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Soup lives matter. Soup lives matter.
This is a classic example of white privilege.
He's written in a way that, you know, he's not just a baddie, he's a white man who's a baddie, even though we haven't seen him actually committing said crimes, although they've been happening in the background. And to me, I just thought to myself, why can't we just have a baddie today, either on the big screen or the small screen? Regardless of their color, they can just be a bad guy or a bad girl, and whatever motivations they have, like the good old-fashioned I want to take over the world motivations. We don't get that anymore. It's more racially motivated, which I really find absolutely cringe. Now, what we should be talking about is the very cringe-worthy scene of Seth Rogen. Remember him? Our favorite Jewish boy from last Christmas who didn't want you to enjoy Christmas, and he's enjoying himself in the moment, quite literally, in front of a webcam, getting his jocks off to the Crimson Countess, played by Laurie Holden. And I just thought to myself, say goodbye to your career, Seth Rogen, because nobody remembers you. And that was a very embarrassing scene to watch and pretty laughable. So apart from those 2 things I've mentioned, were there any redeeming things about this episode? I'll get to the one redeeming factor in a minute, but I've got to address one other point, namely the matriarchy trying to overtake the patriarchy. You can see this gradual power struggle happening in the episode. There's one moment where Starbright is confronting Ashley, telling her to be the woman she's meant to be and to take down Homelander, and suddenly you think Ashley's about to do something, then it's like, no, I'm still being controlled by man. I'm still going to do what my job entitles me to do. So much for being the powerful, confident woman, but you don't believe in your own convictions. It's kind of really weird. Also, Huey, I've got to address his bad takes on pop culture. I mean, we had that bad one about John Belushi quite a few episodes back. It might have been the first or second episode. This time round, Huey drops Trainspotting. Now, there might be a section of the audience who like The Boys who don't know what Trainspotting actually is, the Irvin Welsh film from 1996 with a then younger Ewan McGregor. Some people might think it's a recreational British hobby, and I wouldn't blame them for thinking that. I wouldn't say he's the saving grace of this episode, but he made me laugh a lot. Paul Reiser as the legend. He's simply the legend. Very politically incorrect. I hate to use that phrase, but he's a based character. He talks about his sexual shenanigans with Shannon Tweed and other unnamed Hollywood starlets in his time. His scene together with the rest of the boys was fantastic. He was just out acting everybody in that moment, including Carl Urban, because really, as Billy Butcher, that wasn't his moment to be in that scene and to occupy it. It's all about the legend. So I hope we do get more Paul Reiser in the next few episodes of this season of The Boys. But honestly, you can see where they're trying to go with this. It's a power struggle between the matriarchy and the patriarchy. And so far, from what I've seen of this episode, it seems to be level pegging right now. Although something happens to Queen Maeve, and I'm thinking again, you got all these powerful women who are standing up to the men because all men are bad apparently, and somehow she just crashes and burns on her convictions. So I just wanted to talk about this episode very briefly, folks. It's not going to be a long video, but I sat there thinking, this is what entertainment has come to, hasn't it? You just can't have entertainment now, whether it's a superhero film or a TV show or a detective show or any other kind of show. Why can't we just have those without ideologizing or politicizing the narrative because you think it's clever, you think audience will resonate towards it? And look, even the New York Post recently highlighted the fact that the Buzz Lightyear movie is starting to be wearisome on a lot of the audiences who are suddenly starting to realize, yeah, there might be wokeism in movies. There's a very odd message being told again and again, and they're suddenly starting to get it. Whereas people like me, who really turned around last September, October 2021, I'm not going to look back again, because now when I watch something like The Boys or anything else, and if I start to cringe, something is obviously wrong in paradise. So folks, if you enjoyed this video today, make sure you leave a like below, make sure you slap that subscribe button, and if I were you, check me out on the next video.
I was balls deep in Golden Geisha, and Marlon Brando was apparently balls deep in me. What, that's gay now? Fuck you.